Welcome to H2K Infosys. H2K Infosys is a e-verify business based in Atlanta, Georgia, United States. We provide 100% job-oriented, instructor-led, face-to-face, true live online software training programs. It also includes access to cloud test lab with software tools. We provide live project for you to work on. We also provide assistance with mock interviews, resume preparation and review, and job placement assistance. H2K Infosys is trusted by so many students across the world. H2K Infosys provides world-class services in IT training with real-time project work for corporates and individuals, special IT training for MS students in the United States, software design, development, QA manual and automation, performance testing and maintenance, IT staff augmentation, job placement assistance, and tech support.
And this will print an entire list of items. Right? We also updated this Brian, so we can check whether we get that Brian. Okay. Here, so you got all that. Okay, and yes, your Brian is updated. And you can also see the last updated was Neil Patrick. Okay, excuse me. Okay, so one more thing which we need to understand is what is the specific select query. Okay, if this is, you know that when you are using select star and you are getting something, but if you need to pass a parameter to select query, that will not be similar to this. You will actually pass an array of objects. Okay, so there is a small difference here. So get actor has select start from actor where actor ID equals to, and you will pass an actor ID which you really want. Okay, at this instance you can create an array object array, and you can pass these objects in a sequence of question marks. If you are having 3 parameters where actor ID equals to this, first name equals to another question mark, last name equals to another question mark, you should give that question mark, you should give the object in order of question mark. Okay, so now you have actor ID, so your object will have only one object here, that is ID, and this object array will be passed as a parameter to query for object. Again, there is a small change here, not query for object, and here you will pass that parameter list which you need to pass to the query to get exact record. So let's see whether we can get it, and let me page 201. Okay. And actor one here, and we should get David Gary. That I'm not printing that. Oh my god. No, I'm not. Actually, I'm returning it. Okay, now it will print. Okay, 201 David Gary, and David Gary will be executed. So what are the things you learned in JDBC template? The first thing is it's simple and awesome. Okay, you will never have a DAO class like this if you are using JDBC. You will have a DAO class with a single method paying this much. Okay, so you can do insert, update, all the normal operations. You just need a mapper class for select statements. Update and inserts are here super easy. Even deletes are super easy. You can use update statement for deletion. Okay, and of course you can count the parameters. Yes, so this is the best use for JDBC. If you are using normal JDBC, you can always use JDBC template if your project allows Spring, and it's really easy, it's really awesome. If you are really not using Hibernate or not. Okay. Are you saying DAO shouldn't have all the members? No, I'm not saying that. DAO should have all the club members. Okay. Our DAO pattern, we learn a DAO pattern. Okay. In that we actually have all the club members. Okay. I'm just saying that if you write own JDBC code, then a single method, single select all will have a number of statements equivalent to the number of statements we have in this entire class. A single method will have that. Okay, because we have your result set, request statement, every RS dot get something, put it there. Okay, then statement dot close, connection dot close, finally, and all this. Okay, here everything is handled very properly. Here I'm not throwing anything. I'm literally not throwing any exception, literally not having a track as block. Okay. Try just creating a small JDBC class. You start typing driver manager connection. You will have a checked exception. You need to have SQL exception, file IO exception, something like that. So you need to have that declare. But here I'm not even declaring tracker. I'm just writing the code as is. That's what I'm saying. It's handled so properly that, of course, if there is an exception, it will come out. If my username password doesn't come properly, then definitely that exception is coming away. But I do not have to type in those checked exception again and again, right? Simple equation, nothing else. They just created a wrapper around it and gave me a very, let's say, a usable code which I can use. And whenever there is exception, of course, that will come out with method declaration. Yeah, nobody can stop that. Okay. This is about the Spring JDBC, which will give you an idea about how to use these templates. And that will also introduce you to templates because templates are important. In Spring, you should get comfortable with this kind of words. Spring JMS template, JDBC template, FTP template, and all those templates Spring uses. Okay, that was a small introduction to that. And now we don't have much time, but sure, but you don't know the JNDA now, so we should have a JNDA class before we actually demo a JNDA. Okay, so we will do that in JNDA demo. We'll have a class on 1 hour entire session on JNDA. Okay, and we not separate some things and use some things from kind of template. Let's say I want to handle a transaction log in a different manner, but I want to have the rest of template intact. Does it offer that level of granularity? Definitely, I did not explore that. You can do that, okay? Because first thing is, I told you, templates are something which is generic enough for all the use cases. If you have specific stuff, don't use templates. But definitely, Spring is so advanced that if you need such granularity, definitely there will be an functionality. But really, the question is, can we separate some things and use some other things from template? Okay. Can we use filters in Spring? Which filters? Servlet filters? Okay. So Harita, we will be touching that part. Right now, I'm starting that discussion right away. We have few minutes. Let's start discussing about MVC. So whenever we discussed about MVC, we always discussed about user request. Okay. So okay, wait. The methods are still coming. Each method in DAO would bound to one transaction. Absolutely. Okay. If you are using JMS template, then by default, it's giving you a transaction enabled method execution. Okay. You do not have to specify begin transaction and transaction. That's the benefit of it. We wrote it. Okay. And now, any more questions before we start that? Okay. Good stuff. So now think about this. Whenever we started MVC framework, even if it is for Charlotte, even it is for Struts, we always discussed one thing. There is a client who requests something, okay, on his laptop or computer. I don't know if the computers are alive still. Okay. And this request goes to web server. Okay. And if it has an internal app server, then app server, if you really concerned about that. And it processes it, and all those happens, and it come back to the user as a response. This is response, this is request. Now we went further inside this, and we found out that there is MVC framework, in which wherever request comes in, there is a person called as controller which takes this request. Okay. Then there is some person called as model who runs the business logic for it. Okay. And there is also a person called as view. I'm just revising it for you when we start another MVC framework. Okay. And this controller tells view that generate a page for me, and it generates a page, and that page will be returned as the response. We went further inside. What we did is we understood that whenever user sends some request, okay, there is not a controller, there is something called as front controller. Okay, which might be an XML, which might be a servlet, which might be a filter, whoever understands the URL. Okay, based on the specific URL. Okay, now we are talking in detail. Based on the specific URL, specific controllers are getting part. This might be action classes, this might be handlers, this might be different servlets. Okay, so specific controllers. So now we have set of controllers, and front controller is managing this controller. Okay, and now whenever these controls are executed, this controller knows which model are getting called. Right? We learned this. Okay, and now we also know, now this guy, the front controller or the XML mapping also know which is the view for which controller. Okay, and views now access directly to model classes. Okay, and front controller, whatever view is generated, sends back to user. We saw this in Struts 2. We also see similar fashion in MVC framework. Okay, so this is again a MVC, but it is a front controller pattern. Okay, so now in this front controller pattern, we will learn a new MVC framework called Spring MVC. Okay, little complicated, not very widely used, but you should understand this for interview. Okay. Okay. So now you know that every framework gives a name to their front controller, another name, and these are like a fancy name, view resolve, this thing and that thing. But ultimately, it's gonna do the same stuff, which is done in Struts, which is done in MVC, which is done in JSF, or whatever framework you are compatible. Okay. So let's understand the names. So now, whenever your request comes in, we'll plot the same stuff, but now we will plot it with the help of names. So whenever your request comes in, this guy, front controller, is called as dispatcher server. Okay, so this is a dispatcher server. Dispatcher servlet takes do what you know what it does. It actually understands that what is the URL, okay, and according to URL, it will call actually that URL to controller mapping is set in something. Okay, so it will first call this guy. It's called as handler mapping, and this is a mapping of URL to controller. So whenever a new URL comes in, okay, it goes here. It sees which URL is mapped to which handler. Handler is a controller again. Don't get confused on that. What is this Spring MVC? Absolutely. Okay. So dispatcher servlet, you got the URL. Dispatcher servlet goes to handler mapping. What is the URL? According to that URL, what is the handler? Okay. Now, once it finds out the handler, once it finds out the controller, okay, same name. It will execute. Now, it will start executing controller. Okay. Of course, then controller has an idea about who is, let's say, who is a model class, and it will do that model class, execute that business logic, and returns the response. So, of course, you have model classes on call here and all this. Now, again, your front controller knows about who is view for which URL. Again, it maps to URL, right? So you know the controller, and this guy who finds out a view for URL is called as view resolve. Okay, and it will resolve what? It will resolve view means your JSP files or your HTML files or your JSF files or whichever files you want to be, flex files. Okay, and this will return to the response. This is again a standard MVC. Okay, there is no new pattern we are following. Okay, this is your front controller. If you look closely, this is your front controller. Okay, this is just your mapping. Okay, so as soon as request comes to front controller, actually the combination of these two is a front controller. Okay, once you find out the controller, then this is an actual controller. Okay, then you have model classes execution. Okay, output of which should be shown on view. So which view will be found out by view resolver, and once you found out the view will be created, your JSP will be created and returned back to the user. Is there any new thing you learned here? No, you already know this stuff, right? This is an MVC pattern, and we're gonna understand a new way, a new Spring way of doing the stuff. Of course, you will have Spring beans here. You have different set of configuration files here. You will not have exact same mapping we have for action files. No. Okay. You will have something different, but not entirely, because ultimately your logic, your flow gonna remain the same. So you will understand this very fast because you do have a background now and to have some framework. Okay. So I can figure the advantages of this. Then we have Tomcat, Servlet, Container. Of course, there are thousands of frameworks created. Think about it. Okay, even you can create your own framework. There's no framework. No problem in that. Okay. So every framework has their own benefits. So if you are using Spring framework with Spring MVC, you will get a bean container plus MVC pattern. So if you have some logic for that, if you need some use case or test case really for having a bean container as well as a MVC framework embedded within each other, then you will use Spring MVC, right? So different use cases satisfy for different frameworks in the market. Of course, you have to choose the perfect one. Not you though. Actually, whenever you will have that much experience as an architect in your own team, then you will decide which particular pattern you should use according to your project needs. Okay, but knowing this different framework, okay, makes your resume very powerful, because it makes sense that you work on different frameworks and you know these use cases already, right? You know how to embed the stuff into each other, right? So this is what is important. So that's why they are learning different stuff. And literally, if I draw a JSF diagram here, You will get irritated why we are learning again and again the same stuff. But again, I'm telling you, every framework is same. If they are saying that they are MVC framework, then they are the same. Only what will change, your fund control will be either filter in one case, XML in another case, okay, actual servlet in third case, right? JSP in some other case. That literally happens. Okay. But doesn't mean that those frameworks are not important. Of course, they're important because they are suitable for some testing. Okay. So now you will be learning this particular framework called Spring MVC, which will be using this terminology: dispatcher servlet, handler mapping, handler, controller, view resolver, and we will understand how to use this framework to build your web application. Okay. So we will continue that in next class. Okay. So dispatcher servlet will double as a bean container. Dispatcher servlet is a fun controller. Okay. Ultimately, everything will be run by Spring. Okay. Are we having class tomorrow? We don't have class tomorrow. Okay. We will have our normal 5-day class from Monday to Friday. We will have holidays in. Because the two things, first thing is I'm getting another, I'm have another class for difficulties the students. Okay. Second thing is the strength is so low. Last Friday, Saturday, I have 5 students. We don't want that, so we don't want to lose whatever we are discussing. This is very important. Okay. So let's have it on Monday to Friday. Okay. So let's stop here. Let's continue in next class. Okay. So on Monday, I will be dropping in email anyway. So let's continue that and let's discuss this MVC framework in detail. Okay. Yes, Arita, go ahead with your question. If you do not have question, feel free to log off. You do not need a specific jar file for that. If you really want a specific jar file, there is a jar file called Spring JDBC. Okay, the jar file name is Spring JDBC. Let me think now. Okay, so this is a jar file. Of course, this is little complicated if you have a little idea about the bean and instantiation of those. But really, if you go through it again, if you see those classes again, and if you execute this your own, then I don't think you will face any problem. Until now, if you did not face any problem in core Java and advanced KTV concept, Spring is super easy if you do it well. Okay, there should not be any problem. And if you face it, I am here. There is no issue. You can always ask. Okay, don't worry about it. How to decide which one to use out of JDBC, Hibernate, Spring? Actually, you will not decide that. Okay, whether your project should use Hibernate or Spring is something which is architectural decision. Okay, using Spring already includes lot of dependencies in your project. Like you need to have commons logging, you need to have log4j, SLF4j, all kind of different stuff and XML for that. So probably if the project is not allowing that jar file inside your company, you will not be able to use Spring anymore. But if you are using Spring in your project, then there is no harm using Spring JDBC platform. Okay. Same thing with Hibernate. So it will be an architectural decision whether you should use Hibernate or JDBC. Okay. If it is totally based on you, whichever you are comfortable in. So if literally if you ask me, I'm pretty comfortable in Hibernate, and if I am developing my own project, I will use Hibernate. Right? Yes, Kalani, I will be sending a project today itself. Whatever we did, I will be sending. Okay. Okay. So people, we are stopping here. We will continue on Monday. Okay. So if you have any question, feel free to email me. You know my email address now. Okay. Drop me, and always keep posting your questions. We need your reviews. So post your reviews on Facebook. That is very important to continue all that. Okay. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend here and great night. Okay. Enjoy.
So many of our students have given testimonials on how our training programs are. You will find them on kudzu.com and on our website H2KInfosys.com. On our website H2KInfosys.com, you will also find more detailed information on who we are, the courses that we offer, what each course covers. Also, if you're interested in a demo program, please register on our homepage on the left-hand side. Just give us more information about yourself and we will send you a link for a demo class. The demo class is absolutely free. Experience our commitment by just attending an orientation workshop at no cost. Our team of faculty and advisors are here to guide you with the right information. If you still have more questions, please feel free to call us. Call us at 770-777-1269. This is a United States number. If you're calling from the UK, call us at 020-337-17615. You can also email us at training@h2kinfosys.com or h2kinfosys@gmail.com. Thank you for watching our videos. We wish you a great career in information technology.